Hi, my name is Hiram Thomas. I am working on a project called Leadership Videos with my colleague Charles Williams and team member Carmen Mills. We will be filming a three-part series discussing leadership and its importance. This is the second video, which will be asking people in leadership roles questions about leadership. The first video was asking students questions about their perspective on leadership, which you could view on the channel. Our next video will be uploaded on July 13th, discussing the leadership programs offered at the different colleges at Florida State University. Be on the lookout for that. With this video, I interviewed people in different career fields to gain a bigger perspective on leadership through the course of their career. This first interview is with the sergeant in the United States military who has been serving over 4 years now. Hi, I'm here with today.
Hi, my name is Sharika Parson. I am a sergeant in the United States Army. I'm currently stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado.
And I want to ask you some different questions on leadership and its importance. My first question to you is, what is leadership to you?
Leadership to me is providing purpose, direction, and motivation to your subordinates in order to kind of sort of motivate them to accomplish the mission and improve.
And why is leadership so important?
Well, in the military, leadership is important because it's how we establish our warfighting functions, like our movement, our maneuvers. It's like how we do everything. It's how we teach, train, and lead our soldiers, and it's also how we develop as leaders.
As a leader, what are some obstacles you had to overcome?
I can say an obstacle that I had to overcome was just basically being thrown into like certain positions that I wasn't ready for. But any great leader can always like develop and grow. And then another obstacle is just like having so many soldiers under me that are from different places. So just like learning how to understand their backgrounds and how they operate.
What makes you different from other leaders?
I am different from most leaders because I'm very transparent. Like I don't have an issue with admitting to my subordinates when I don't know something, or I don't have any issues like finding information when I don't know. I'm very good at like listening to my subordinates and taking their thoughts into consideration, because at the end of the day, I understand that they're the ones that's like really doing the hard work.
What piece of advice would you give a college student looking to get into a leadership role?
I would tell them that in order to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower. So like I said with my last question, it's like you always want to take your subordinates' thoughts into consideration, and don't be afraid to assume greater responsibilities. It's okay, like if you don't know, you just have to be able to seek knowledge. You have to know where to find things. You always have to improve yourself and better yourself, and you'll be a great leader.
And Ms. Parson, I would like to thank you for your time and thank you for participating in my project. And I will send you the link to the video once it's uploaded.
Thank you.
So good morning. I am here with my colleague, Charles Williams, and Ms. Sam DeZerga. She is the director at the Learning Commons at Tallahassee Community College. And could you give us a bit background about your role as a director?
Sure. So as the director of the Learning Commons, I oversee the day-to-day administration of the Learning Commons at Tallahassee Community College. And for those who are not aware, our Learning Commons is our tutoring center on campus. So we have tutors here that can assist our community college students with writing, mathematics, science, foreign language, and we also have our academic success coaching.
Okay, so me and my colleague would like to ask you different questions on leadership and its importance. And my first question to you is, why is leadership important?
Sure. So leadership is important to me because it provides a vision for the future. I am a huge fan of continuous improvement. So always looking for ways to improve and always looking for ways to change and get better. And also looking for new ideas that honestly no one has ever come up with before. So really innovative new ideas. And I fully believe that change is one of the only constants in life. Things are always changing. But without leadership, people rely really heavily on maintaining the status quo, meaning that they'll continue to do the things that they've always done just because that's how they always done them. And so I think that leadership really provides that vision so that organizations and people can move forward.
And my colleague would like to ask the next question.
Hello, yes. My name is Charles. Nice meeting you. My question is the following. For you, what traits define a good leader?
So first, I think that a good leader needs to know the distinction or the differences between being a good manager and being a good leader, because they're two separate things, in my opinion. Not all managers are leaders and not all leaders are managers. But if I were to think of kind of the number one trait that defines a good leader, that would definitely be integrity. So a good leader is someone who is honest, they're respectful of others, but they also command respect from others around them, but they also work really hard to build trust with those around them. I think that a good leader is someone who follows through on their word. And ultimately, I think the goal of a good leader is someone who is willing to invest in the leaders of the future. So is willing to build those leaders, to acknowledge the leadership skills in others, and to help create those opportunities for them to become leaders themselves.
So my next question is for you. In your profession, how do you lead your team?
Sure. So I would describe my leadership style as affiliative. So what that means is, as a leader, I put my team first. I want my team to know that their voice is heard, that their voice matters, and that I'm listening to them. And trust is a really, really big thing for me, especially in the workplace. I put my people first, and I want to create an environment that allows them to feel positively about coming to work and to feel like they're in a safe environment. But what's important, though, when you are affiliative, because you do rely so much on communication and team building, is that you're also really decisive. Because if you are affiliative and you're always relying on your team to make decisions, oftentimes you can get bogged down in the details. And so I'm also not afraid to make decisions, even when they're not the most popular decisions for the team. So I'm affiliative, but also quite decisive.
Thank you. So my next question is to you. What are the pros and cons of being in a leadership position?
So I think there are a lot of pros of being in leadership positions, but the number one to me is the ability to impact the future, and not necessarily just the future of wherever you happen to be working, but also to impact the future of others. I mentioned being able to sort of build the leaders of tomorrow. When I work with my team, I want to help them create goals that kind of push them further than they've been before. Every team member that I meet with, whether it is someone who has worked with me for 6 months or has worked for the organization for 16 years, I want to give them that opportunity to do something brand new, something that challenges them and helps them to grow past their imagination. But on the other hand, there are cons with leadership. When you're a leader, you kind of always feel like there's a magnifying glass on every decision that you make. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that leaders should definitely be accountable for the decisions that they make, but it's certainly something that takes getting used to.
Thank you. So as a leader, what are some obstacles you had to overcome?
The biggest one for me has been imposter syndrome. So every day, whether I am here at work or in the community, I am surrounded by such visionary leaders, and they're leaders that I look up to. And every now and again, I get this twinge of, am I supposed to be here? Did I somehow just trick everyone into thinking that I can do this? Have I really earned my place? And it's something that I've worked really, really hard to overcome. It's something that I used to feel constantly, and now it's just kind of an every now and again thing. But what really helped me to overcome that imposter syndrome was realizing that just because you're in a leadership role doesn't mean that you have to have all of the answers. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything. And I know that I have a phenomenal team that supports me, that trusts me, and I rely on their knowledge and skill and their expertise to help inform my decisions. And so that really helped me to overcome some of that imposter syndrome, even if now and again, I still wonder if, I somehow fooled everyone.
Thank you. My next question is there someone that inspired you to be a leader? Who is it and why?
Absolutely. So it's probably an answer that you hear the most, but my mom is definitely my greatest inspiration when it comes to leadership. She raised me to never be afraid to speak my mind. And she also always challenged me to think really critically about problems. And she's always been a leader for my family. She's always been a leader in the communities that we've lived in ever since I was a young child. And so she's always kind of going to be my biggest inspiration.
Thank you. And my last question for you is, what piece of advice would you give a college student looking to get into a leadership role?
That is a great question. So I would say for a college student that is looking to get into a leadership position, number one is do not be afraid of your own voice. So something that it took me a while to learn as someone who, once I graduated from college, I went right into full-time employment, is that sometimes people are going to make comments about your age or about your years of experience. And they will make assumptions about who you are and your experience and whether you are qualified enough to be in a leadership position just based on those two things, age and years of experience or years on that resume. But I'm kind of here to say that leadership isn't a certain age. Leadership isn't necessarily what's on your resume. It's more of a state of mind or a frame of mind. It's being confident in your voice, in your decision making. It's your ability to not just establish, but keep and maintain really good, strong working relationships with others. Because I think if you can't do that, then you can't build bridges and you can't network with others and sort of climb that ladder. And it's also about being able to bring fresh, new ideas to the table.
Appreciate it. And my last question is, do leadership roles still apply outside the workforce, and how?
Absolutely. So I think when you say the word leadership, you immediately think of a job title. You immediately think of like directors or coordinators or managers or vice presidents or CEOs. And we don't often think about the phenomenal leaders that are outside of those roles. I'm really big into leadership is not a job title. And I think if we look outside of the workplace, if we look at our communities, if we look at our families, if we look at our schools, we're going to find phenomenal leaders there as well. And like I said, I wholeheartedly believe that leadership is not the job title, but more of that state of mind.
And I want to thank you for participating in my project, and you did really good on your interview. And is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I would just say if you believe that you have those leadership qualities, go for it. Definitely go for it. Even if you don't think right now that you would be the perfect leader, the best leader, remember that imposter syndrome is real. Work to improve those skills, cultivate those skills, and just go for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm here with today Kizzy McGaskey. She is a lead sonographer at Houston Methodist Baytown Hospital. in Baytown, Texas. Could you give us a background about your role at the hospital?
I am the lead sonographer at Houston Methodist Baytown. I have been there 21 years. I'm registered in abdomen and OB. I can scan you from head to toe, anything except the heart, because that's like a total different modality.
Okay, so I'm working on this project that's instilling leadership, and I want to ask you questions on leadership and its importance. And my first question is, what is leadership to you?
Well, for me and what I do, it's being in control of your workflow, knowing how to handle your team without micromanaging as their immediate supervisor, being able to delegate without conflict. And also being a leader to me means to be productive and know how to do everything that my team knows how to do. So with the intent to basically step in if needed.
Okay, and why is leadership so important?
Leadership is important because every team needs guidance and someone there to make decisions based on processes and protocols built to make your business a success.
As a leader, what are some obstacles you had to overcome?
Obstacles that I always run into is staffing. And basically COVID, for example, just working at a hospital. Staffing becomes a challenge in every situation because you're gonna always have somebody out and you're never gonna have enough people. I've been running into that for the last 21 years. Also, different personalities is another obstacle. Different personalities that brings like negative energy to the whole team, bringing the morale down. That's always because you always have one person, and basically that's all it takes. And as a leader, you have to be able to deal with conflict.
Okay, and what makes you different from other leaders?
Well, what makes me different in my role is that I've been a tech for like 21 years. So I have personally experienced the obstacles that my team focus. I'm basically on the front line so I can lead them and support them at the same time.
Okay.
And it's obstacles that my team face, basically. I don't know where focus came from.
Okay, and what piece of advice would you give a college student looking to get into a leadership position?
I would take some leadership and team building classes outside of school, but with other leaders, and view some of the other leadership styles so that they can develop some patience and understanding. Also, always remember to keep business separated from personal.
And Kizzy, I would like to thank you for participating in my project. And is there anything else that you would like to add?
No.
Well, thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
I would like to thank everyone who stayed to the end to watch the video. Our next video will be uploaded on July 13th, so be on the lookout. Thank you again.